Hello, everyone. Welcome to Film Addicts, and tonight we have a Criterion film we're going to review to you guys. This is Kent, and the movie tonight is Blowout, starring John Travolta, 1981 film, which was directed by Brian De Palma. Okay, so we just finished viewing this thing. What were your thoughts on this film, Kent?
So, we have like an Alfred Hitchcock type of film is what I was gathering from it when I was looking at the different shots in the movie. And the actors and the characters that they were playing, overall, I know that it is part of the Criterion collection. I feel like those movies are hit or miss for me. And this was more of a miss, although I will say that I really did enjoy the ending. And then I'll get more into why I thought it was a miss. But what were your first impressions of the movie Blowout?
Overall, okay, I think the ending was great. I think the story is unique. I mean, I guess you got to remember this is done back in 1981. And John Travolta at that time, he just had 3 hits. He had Saturday Night Fever, he had Grease, Urban Cowboy, and then he had this film. And all 4 different films are totally different. So he was a big star at the time. And the movie is kind of low-key for something for him to do. And I thought it was really good for that sense. It kind of brought me back to like him doing Carrie. You know, those kind of roles. And Brian De Palma did, Carrie. And it's a psychological thriller. I mean, I think it was pretty unique in the sense that, sure, I mean, he just happened to be a sound man and all this kind of stuff, and he records a murder, and, the audio of it and everything of a government, of a governor that's running for president, and, I like how everything, the cleanup people are just there and taking care of everything, and he's just like this lone guy screaming at the mountain, and everyone just like, okay, you're crazy, and that kind of type of thing. And it was really, I think that was the way that was put together was really cool. I don't think there was a wasted moment in the film. Everyone that was involved, every character there was nobody that was in there that was kind of, what's that person doing there? That's, everyone in there played a pivotal part in making this film. And I like the end. I felt like, of course the government or the shadow government wins, and he's the guy who could, have the truth of break the truth of what's going on and everything. And there's a juxtaposition scene where there's just like, they're at this Liberty Parade, and the fireworks are going off and everyone's all there with their American flags, but what's really going on underneath the surface is like the government has taken over, or the shadow government has taken over, and he knows what's going on, and I think that's the real cool thing about the film.
Okay, to me, the ending is what salvages the film, because I wasn't huge on it. Like I said, I'll get into the reasons why. But I love movies where it's realistic as well as the bad guy wins, so to speak. So the shadow government, right? Right. The way it wrapped up, I was predicting that, okay, he's going to get to the girl, he's going to save her, he's going to reveal the conspiracy, everyone's going to be celebrating because, that's just how feel-good endings are. But in this movie, the way it played out, with the angles and everything else, the very ending shot where there's fireworks, he's holding, I think her name's Sally at the very end of the film, and they're doing this pan shot where it's circling John Travolta for 81. I just thought it was like a great wrap up. And then the gut-wrenching emotion that's felt in that scene continues on because he's just haunted by that recording. He's playing over and over the recording of her death. And earlier on in the film, since he deals with like the sound set, he was trying to find the perfect scream, but he doesn't really care. It seems like he's apathetic. It's like a subplot throughout the movie. His boss is like, Jack, you got to get us this scream. He's like, I'll get to it. I'll get around to it. And he keeps putting it off. And then at the very end, he goes back to his mundane life, was the way I saw it, because he didn't seem to care about his job. And he just took the scream of her murder, threw it in there. He's taking a drag of a cigarette. And what I like about it, there's a lot of little things in the movie. So when he's taking a drag of the cigarette, you could tell he didn't ash that cigarette. He was so into his head. You just have a long cigarette that's just like, dude, are you going to ash that? So he was zoned out completely. And in the movie, too, he was probably asking himself, because I like to try to put myself into the character's position, like, this wasn't worth it. I should have just looked the other way. I should have done what every single person did and looked the other way. Because a lot of the times when we watch movies and we hear these stories, like, we're always told, like, oh, be unique, do this, right? And it'll pay off, right? But realistically, it's not going to pay off. It's going to suck.
Well,
okay?
It seemed like they had either two options, and he told her, you could either be alive and crazy or dead, right? So, and I guess he fell into the whole justice trap of everything, but I mean, I guess it was like what you're saying, his life was mundane anyway, and he was kind of like, and then they had a little backstory, which was really cool, of how he became who he was, because he used to wire people for the police and did like undercover investigations, kind of stuff like that, and so he's had some traumatic things that would happen to him throughout his his career as a sound man. I did like the intro. I did like the beginning of the film. I thought it was really cool, how it was just they had this movie on, the fake movie that was playing.
Felt like Halloween.
Yeah, but it was
like
like
the angle of the killer, right? And it's like a slow crawl, and he's taking out people one by one.
But it's so outrageous. It's just like every room is like some kind of this girl masturbating. These two girls are dancing. It was so cheesy, but it was just like, okay, it was a really cool attention grabber.
But what was kind of funny for me is like, oh wow, this movie's pretty exciting. They're getting like right to start. We're already seeing death and all this. I'm like, I didn't think it was this kind of movie. And then it kind of annoyed me, because then we get to the actual movie and there's not a bunch of like violence and everything. So it kind of got my mind into this movie of like, okay, the slasher stuff, but it's not at all a slasher movie. I mean, I enjoyed like Maltese Falcon. Like I like crime movies, but although I liked John Travolta's character and like the background that we get with him and like the dialogue, and just I when I think of John Travolta, I love him in his serious roles, not his comedic ones at all. I think personally, I don't even want to watch anything where he's doing like a comedic type of deal. But as for Sally's character, and I was complaining to Chili throughout. Like, I try not to talk too much during the movie, but I'm like, man, she is so annoying. She's so ditzy. I even looked at him and like, does she have like a cognitive disability or some learning disability? Like, what's the deal here? Like, was she dropped as a child? But Chili had an excellent point, and like, what makes a character well written is if they're memorable. And she's memorable, but for me, for the wrong reasons. But at the same time, a hated character is still a good character.
Like because even like a sleazy character or someone who's typecast, like Dennis Franz is in here again, who was in Psycho 2, playing the real scummy, sleaze bag. But is he a good character? I mean, they're character actors pretty much, and I thought she was good. To be in that situation of what she is doing, and she kind of illustrates it like, I can't type. She's like a makeup artist, and she's not really getting a lot of money, and she's kind of she didn't really exactly set the world on fire, exactly, but she's doing what she could do, and she put herself in this situation, but she's not, she ain't the brightest light bulb. But I think she does that good. I mean, I think that's the role that's supposed to be there.
But sometimes it stretches to the point where it's just like, oh my, are you that dumb? Like, she meets this guy, right? And they're supposed to deliver, because they have evidence of this. The whole thing of the movie is there's a crime that takes place with somebody who's running to be president, and John Travolta's character, he recorded the sound of this he has this evidence of like this car crash where it wasn't a blowout, name of the movie. It was a gunshot that
before
took
the blowout.
that before the blowout. And since he recorded that, he was trying to get that out there. And there's reasons why. At first, he didn't really care, but when everyone keeps telling you, no, 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 don't do it. Like, don't think of a red ball. You're gonna think of a red ball, and that's John Travolta thinking about. Well, don't tell me not to.
Right at the hospital, because he pulled her out of the the car and everything, and he's at the hospital, and the investigators are there, and like, what girl? There was no girl. He's like, yeah, the girl that I brought in here. No, there wasn't a girl. They're already kind of like creating a story of a cover up.
They already had there was multiple layers to kind of go against Travolta's character. But what I was getting at though is she goes to this train station. She's supposed to drop off the evidence to this news anchor, which already was really sketchy the way everything was set up. So she didn't seem nervous at all. She's telling John Travolta's character like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna drop it off. It sounds legit." And he wiretaps her, right? And he's in his car and he's like, "Okay, well I just want to make sure everything goes as planned. I want to make sure you're safe." And what does she do? Not only does she follow this guy, to like the most sketchy spot of the train station, she gets on a train, ends up. And then there's this whole sequence where John Travolta, he realizes, oh God, she's on a train with this random guy, and it sounds like he's gonna end up killing her because he's smart, she's dumb, she doesn't realize it. He gets in his freaking SUV, decides to try to meet them at where like the train is gonna be stopping, so he can be there when they get off.
He realized he wasn't the same guy.
Yeah, he realizes it wasn't the same guy because he's really good with audio because he can tell the difference between multiple things. And he gets in his car and decides, I'm not going to only just burn through traffic. I get it, he's panicking. But he drives through a parade, and all logic for his character gets thrown out the window, and he crashes his car. And then conveniently, this is one major complaint I have about the film, he conveniently wakes up in an ambulance at the same time when the killer, after hours, decides, okay, I'm going to make my move and try to kill her. Then he wakes up. Here's the conversation of this guy showing his true colors because he had a wiretap.
Well, I don't think it was a convenient time because the killer wanted to wait till the fireworks happened so he could kill her throughout all the noise of the fireworks to disguise what's going on. He could hear her. He could hear her screaming. He could hear everything on his little earphone. So I don't think it was just like, we're going to, you know what I mean?
I think that killer would have found an opportune moment way quicker than that because he killed this one girl by just walking up behind her real quick. Didn't seem like there was a lot of thought. Just started strangling her, threw her into a construction site, killed her. Then another girl he just followed into the bathroom, killed her there. This ditzy Sally would have followed him anywhere into a dark alley where no one is, and he could have murdered her.
But
and it
this one is the one that he's been wanting to kill. Those other two were just setting it up. So it's not like at the end.
Oh, so for plot, that's
plot,
the way I look at it is it's just for plot. The way that's
I think
why
it
was
worked
written
because
that way.
at the end, when it was reported in the news as fake news, it was just like they had her name, they had everything out there, but she killed the killer or the killer, there's no name for that guy, so it was all, it was just really elaborate. Just because at first they wanted to just get rid of her. So they set it up so he could kill her, and then at the end, if you really listen to it, the newscaster is also talking about still no word on the case on the governor.
The detectives,
so they were able to separate Sally from the murder of the governor. So.
I still want to hear how the detective explained the woman who had her throat slashed picked up the knife or the weapon that the killer had and had downward strikes from like way up here on his chest, even though she's shorter than him, downward strikes. And I don't know.
That was John Travolta.
Yeah, it was John Travolta that killed the killer, but I'm just saying like the way any detective would have looked at that, I'm pretty sure he would have said, okay, based off the angle of the wound, it couldn't have been her. Unless she was behind him stabbing him. That's different than a story. I was overthinking. There's different parts of the movie where I'm just like, what?
Yeah, because that's not the point. Because the point is that the news is going to go with the narrative to cover up the murder of the governor. And so they're going to say now they're going to bring out her information, her name, and everything and say, okay, Sally is this and that, blah, blah, blah. Because early in the movie, you see John Travolta saying bullshit when he's watching the news. So that's what it's all about. It was all about anyway. They're going to, control everything, just like what we have today. They control the whatever's going to be said or whatever. They'll change the story. They'll leave a little this out or put in a little that. So I thought that was perfect. There was no loose ends on it.
When I'm watching a conspiracy movie, we didn't get like actual names of like real people, but to me it's a little bit more engaging. I think for this movie, I'm very particular about like crime movies that I actually like am invested in, even though the angles were good, like the acting for like John Travolta was good, and the story all made sense. I just think there's certain movies that are just not my type of movie. So if I were to do like 1 out of 5,
5 stabs.
Well, this would I don't know if this would we use stars or like detective hats for this, or should we use knives still or stabs?
Okay. Stabs. Since there was a pick involved,
I would just say, because I'll pay respect for where it's due with like the sound effects and the angles. I'd just say 3, meaning there are things I like about the movie, but I'm not going to rewatch it. I won't say it's a bad movie, but I'm not going to say it's a good movie either.
Okay, so it's just an average.
Just a shrug. There's a shrug for me.
Shrug?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I thought it was well written. I thought it was, I thought the cinematography was great. Great wide screen shots. He's doing things on here, Brian De Palma, which is not really done in a lot of movies. Like usually when you see like a subject being in focus and you see someone's face in the back being kind of like blurry, he doesn't do that. He puts them all clear. You can see all the subjects on the film. I thought that was really cool. Just it was unpredictable from the beginning.
Right, the shot with like the owl and then him on the bridge and the butcher and the restaurant with her walking. Yeah, there's
the shot when it was going around the room when he was like going panically, listening to all the erased tapes, and then all of them are starting to spin around, and because the director was talking about how he had to do that shot where he had to get everyone in motion who's like holding everything and going around to make this little small area like this, seeing have that camera going around. So there's a lot of things that as far as filming wise, which was really cool as a visual,
There's sound candy and there's eye candy.
So there you go. So I'm gonna give it 4 stabs. I thought it was John Travolta was great. It's one of his best films. And I thought because she acted really fucking ditzy and this and that, that was her character. I got annoyed by it too sometimes, but it's like I think that's why. It works so well.
I guess I'm just so used to edgy characters, like Helena Bonham Carter character.
So I don't know. That is where is that? Right there. So that was a Criterion film. It's part of the snobby collection of
You gotta
movies.
watch Seven Samurai.
7 Samurai. Okay, well we could do one on that.
Yeah. See, like if this is your Criterion pick, like. I could be bougie too with the Criterion, but I want to go in that direction.
Okay, we'll go and check that. I've never seen that one, and we'll check that one out for our next Criterion film. But Blowout, I thought it was, I'd watch it again. It's a good movie. It's a good one to have in my collection. So
I would watch it again, but it was better than just sitting around and streaming something I probably
it was paced good too.
It was still the story and everything else. I'd say it's worth at least watching once, so that way you can appreciate, like I said, the eye candy, the sound, the effort, and everything that was put into it. You can tell they spent a lot of time on the movie.
Okay, so there you go. So comment below, leave a like, leave a share, and subscribe if you haven't yet. And we'll see you guys next time. These are Film Addicts.